Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, classic, less known classics. This is episode number 2480 and episode number 2374. We're first discussing basically one trade for the series Cable and X-Force plus like 3 extra issues because the last trade I've already covered most already, so I figured they'll just combine them here and then just move on to the next book per se. And the other thing discussed here is basically the penultimate storyline for The Incredible Hulk Volume 2. Yeah, it's second to last one because the very next one is the last one. And you're thinking, really? It is? Yep, it is. First, we're starting with Cable and X-Force Volume 3, This Won't End Well, which collected issues 10 to 14. Yes, I'm also going to be discussing issues 15 to 17 of the series, because I feel like I really wanted to cap off this series, because here's kind of the thing. I've already covered the Vendetta storyline. Now, these issues mostly still involve having the guest appearance by the Unity Squad. But at this point, they have Sunfire on the roster. So this is, my guess is because the previous issues, the first arc basically filled in the gap of the between issues 4 and 5. This is probably between 5 and 7. Because 6 was a flashback issue. Yep. And this is also the very storyline, I think, where Hope officially joins the roster. Like, there's an issue, I think it's issue 11, where we're just focused on Domino and Boom Boom basically going for a joyride with Hope. Yeah. And then they have sort of a female Strife in here. No, seriously. They have female Strife show up in these issues. Yep. Who actually first appeared in issue 2 of this book. And then she returns for issues 11 to 14, and that was sadly it for the character. Yeah, it just, let's just create a female Strife for, because Cable's got a Stripe, so why not Hope Summers? Yeah, why not? Something which basically, I don't know if anybody was asking for. You could say that was probably leading into, well, a possible appearance by the villain of the final story arc of this run. Yeah, and then we have appearance by an alternate Jocasta from an alternate reality. Yeah, we also see Blacko Smith. Yeah, he was the character who first showed up in Avengers Extinction. That was the prelude to Avengers vs. X-Men. I haven't covered that one yet, but really interesting miniseries, this one. Yeah. He actually returns here for this very series. He returns just for this story arc. And then here's something really sad about him. After this story arc wraps up, he is never seen again. No, seriously. Never seen again. So, yeah. And then basically with issue 14, Hope Summers joins X-Force. And she'll be kind of the main part of the team until the end of the next volume for the series. Now, Dennis Hopeless is still the writer of this book, and Saba the Roca is doing the artwork. Yep. Now, you might be thinking, okay, so with issue 14, is this the last time the Unity division, is this the last time they appear in this very comic, per se? Okay, the answer to that question is yes, because with this, they're done with this book. They're basically back to their own thing. The next few issues is basically take on the appearance by one of the Ravers. Yeah, deal with the Ravers and Sentinels in issue 17. Yes. Yeah, that's mostly put exactly what X-Force does next few issues, take on the Ravers. Without Lady Deathstrike here. Yep. And that's mostly what happens over the course of these issues, because the very next couple issues is the Vanilla crossover. These issues are actually pretty good. I enjoyed these issues, per se, of this whole series. And now I think of my final thoughts on Cable and X-Force. It was, when I first saw this series get released, my gosh, it was like a little over 10 years ago this was released. When I heard about this, like, okay, we're launching Kenny X-Force, a book I really love by Rick Remender. And you have Sam Humphrey do, Sam Humphrey does, excuse me, he does in Kenny X-Force Volume 2. I wasn't really the biggest fan of that run, because that run was like all about Bishop the entire run. It's like we have a heavy focus on Bishop, because that's what I remember about it, and I reread it again. It's kind of what I remember from the run, but yeah. This book felt like a regular team book, per se. I enjoyed the characters, though the Vendetta crossover had this weird thing like, oh, we have Strife returning! Yes, Strife. Cable's arch nemesis, who Rob Liefeld created. And then the storyline ends with him getting away. Yep, and he's not seen again for several years. No joke, he is not returning again for several years. And mostly put is just, well, the whole big thing with this story is basically that, oh, Hope Summers finds out about Bishop being present day. Yes, because this whole story arc, this 4-part storyline, is a follow-up to Cable Volume 2 by a completely different writer. Dwayne Drazinski, which I haven't finished reviewing that run, but that run's really good, by the way. I should check it out. Yes. And apparently, Strife is currently known as Commander Knifefront. I am not kidding. That's what he calls himself now. It is by far one of the strangest things. So you take a character as cool as Strife and you change his name? Why? Even I'm baffled by this. Yeah, and here's the thing about Strife himself. Because right after the Vendetta Crosser wrapped up, he popped up in Uncanny Avengers for a brief set of issues. And then he went over to Deadpool for reasons. And then became the main villain of X-Force Volume 5. Popped up a handful of issues of Cable Volume 4. Appeared in the X-Force Killshot Anniversary one-shot. Which, by the way, this is a book done by Rob Liefeld and Chad Bowers. Yes. Though his most recent appearance was actually in Marauders Volume 2. Yep. Marauders Volume 2. Yep, that's where they had him appear. And he has done nothing since then, because his last appearance, in this very book, by the way, came out just early this year. Yeah. So the guy has done very little since then. And you probably think, okay, what happened to two teams after this crossover wrapped up? Well, the Strike Force team, the Strike team, disbanded. For 5 years. Yep. Brought back 5 years later by Ben Percy. As a matter of fact, this is the particular team we have in the current X-Force book. Yep. Yeah, they're the ones who's active right now. And you're thinking, really? They're the ones who's active? Oh yeah, definitely. They're the ones who's active right now. And it is shocking the fact that they're the stars of the most recent volume for the book. Which, by the way, had just released issue 45. Yeah. And this you might find interesting. Apparently, by January, we're getting to issue 48. So, my guess, we could be seeing the first issue 50 release in years. Excuse me. But what happened to... Well, what happened to the X-Force team from this book? Well, Betsy Bragg joins the roster in this book, at the end of this book per se, and in X-Force. The team itself, well, by the relaunch, it had been trimmed down per se. Boom Boom, it was actually removed from the roster. Yes, Boom Boom left. So the relaunch volume lineup at the start of it, I'll discuss more when I discuss it, is at the point is Cable, Psylocke, Morrow, Phantom X, Doctor Nemesis, and Eva. You're thinking, okay, what about Colossus? What did he do right after this book wrapped up? For one thing, he did not take part in, of course, X-Force. Nope, he did not. Yeah, apparently by the end of issue 19, apparently both teams kind of disbanded-ish, and, like, Betsy got moved over to the regular X-Force team, while the main team disbanded. Yeah, but Colossus was part of this group from the beginning. I mean, did he go back to the X-Men, like, right after this? I believe he did. Yes, I believe he did. I'm looking up right now. I believe he went back to the X-Men, like, right after this book wrapped up. Let's see. I'm looking up right now. It's going to take a bit. Okay, he went back to the X-Men, like, right after this. Like, he popped up in issue of New Warriors, appeared in X-Men Legacy 300. So, yeah, he rejoined the X-Men with Amazing X-Men Volume 2. So, he went back to the X-Men. He was part of the Amazing X-Men Volume 2 up until issue 12. Took part in some sporadic stuff afterwards. Took part in a little bit of Access. His appearance is very sporadic. He popped up like in a lot of different books. Okay, he did appear in Amazing X-Men for the rest of that book, because that was book he basically regularly appeared in after this book wrapped up. Come on. Though, of course, he became part of the Extreme X-Men roster, like, right after the book wrapped up. Yep. Paul's X-Men Gold, which was a really good book, by the way. I love X-Men Gold. Despite the fact I didn't like the fact that they did bait and switch, where they claimed, oh, we're going to have Colossus and Kitty Pryde get married, and then we have bait and switch say, nope, we're not going to have those two get married. We're going to marry Gambit and Rogue. After very rushed wedding. Yep. Though he basically left the team not long afterwards, and he basically moved over to the Astonishing X-Book by Matthew Rosenberg, part of the Age of X-Men stuff, and then he kind of moved back to X-Force. Yeah, he kind of moved back to X-Force with Volume 6, and is that where he is currently? No, not necessarily. It's like he's not there very long. It's like he's a guest star. He's not on any particular roster. He just appears sporadically in other books. Yeah, that's kind of the strange thing with Colossus. It's like Marvel just doesn't know what to do with him right now. I could say he definitely is part of X-Force, the Strike Force team. Yeah, that's kind of in a way what he's doing now is basically back with the main X-Force. So it's like he goes from X-Force to X-Men and back to X-Force. Okay. What about Boom Boom? She was not part of the relaunch. Oh, no, she was not. And you're thinking, okay, like, what did she do, like, right after this book wrapped up? Wiggle. Okay, so, after this book wrapped up, she popped up in the last couple issues of All New X-Men. Appeared on and off some of her books, rejoined the Mutants for Dead Souls. She kind of rejoined X-Force with Volume 5. And then she moved over to New Mutants for a very brief period of time. And then became part of X-Terminators, which that's what she's part of nowadays, is basically X-Terminators. Yeah, she's another character who's really not done much since book wrapped up. you're thinking, okay, here's something that might surprise you. Dr. Nemesis, who was actually part of the relaunch. So, yeah, he's still around. Forge, I don't think he was part of the relaunch. No, he was not. So, what did Forge himself do right after this book wrapped up? He went back to the X-Men. Yep. And here's the strange thing when it comes to Forge. He's still somewhat of a perception with Storm. Yeah. So, right after Cable X-Force wrapped up, he basically popped up in Storm. Became part of the extra X-Men roster. And then once that book wrapped up, he kind of joined X-Men Red. Then he popped up here and there. He's kind of part of the current volume of X-Force right now. Yes, I believe he is. Yes, I believe he's currently still part of X-Force right now. Let's see. Well, actually, he was, but I think he's off the team now. But that's kind of what the team's up to since then. At Cable X-Force is a good book. I do recommend checking it out, per se. But I also recommend if you want to check out basically Kenny X-Force Volume 2, check that out. But the first volume is so good. I love the first volume. The Commander's awesomeness. Next that we have is from Incredible Hulk. Excuse me. We have Incredible Hulk, Volume 8, Big Things. Actually, it's like 2 more books after this one. That was 1, but actually there's 2 more. So, this book covers issues 70 through 76. We have the brief return of Peter David on the book. Yep, Peter David is back in the series. For the first time since the 90s. Actually, no, this is not the big thing. That was the last one. This actually is Tempest Fugit. Yep, that's the name of the story arc. I thought it was Big Thing. I did the last one. So, yeah, this is actually this has been awesome. I was actually right about that first time. So, we have Lee Weeks on the artwork. Now, this is also one of those books that I did, I believe it was, maybe in issue 780. I actually did own one of these issues of this book. Yes, it was one of these very issues. Mostly put, Tempest Fugit is basically Peter David going back to do Incredible Hulk, per se, doing his best with it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's basically what he's doing now with issue 77, excuse me. Yeah, so he's back in the book, and we had the first appearance of characters named Gwen and Ripley. Gwen is a character who is also called Daydream. And here's the strange thing about this character. After this story wrapped up, she popped up next in Simulated Experiment Alien Reality number 4. Yes, for some reason she popped up in one of Peter David's recent books. My guess? The reason? He created this character. There's also a character named Ripley. And he himself would just appear in this first story arc. Yep, it's mostly about Hulk on Monster Isle. Yeah, dealing with Grey Hulk. There's also hallucination of... Nightmare is in issue 78. His last appearance being Moon Knight, Marvel Knights number 9. That'd be a book to cover. Yeah, and also we have Hulk versus Grey Hulk. We also appearance by by Fing Fang Foom. Now, I think it was issue 79. This is the issue I own. But the very next issue has hallucination of Wolverine. Yeah, Wolverine appears in this book. Except he's a mindless one. It's mostly put all like a big dream sequence, but it's a really cool story arc. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, and Nightmare, right after the story arc wrapped up, he popped up in Nightcrawler Volume 3. Right after the story arc wrapped up. Yeah, and Tempest Fugit 81 was the finale for that book. Then we have Dear Tracy, which is a Jay Lee issue. It's basically Hulk encountering ghosts for an issue. Yep. That's mostly put exactly what this is. We basically have also this one-shot character named Tom Perkins. It's a weird one-shot issue per se. Mm-hmm. It's just a horror issue. It came out in June of '05. Yeah. Um, I thought the issue 82 was okay, but I did kind of enjoy the Tempest Fugit story because it's all about basically Hulk having a nightmare on Monster Island for these issues. Yep. Also, Daydream one point when she's confronted by General Ross, she gets her head shoved in the water, and her hair changes to green. Yeah, but you could definitely say this whole story arc is Nightmare playing mind games with the Hulk for a whole story arc. That's literally what this is. I enjoy this. It's weird Peter David does this for this book because he had a really good run. I'm still reviewing right now his original run right now. But it's like he comes back in this book. First time in probably about 10 years. And it's like, okay, we have good artwork. I love the artwork for this story arc. Yeah, I thought the Jay Lee artwork was okay for issue 82, but I love Lee Week's artwork. Oh my gosh, it is so gorgeous. Like, here's Lee Weeks drawing the Hulk. Like, it looks so awesome. He does an excellent job drawing him. And that's, in my opinion, the best part of the book, him drawing the Hulk. Yep. I'm going to give this story arc and, well, basically this trade here I'm going to give it roughly a 9 out of 10 per se. Yep. Now, I do have one more story arc left to go for this one. Yeah, one more left to go, and it's a tie-in to a crossover. Which one is it? You'll find out when we talk about it next time. We'll talk about this particular run. And I'm announcing right here, pretty much when I finish wrapping up reviewing this run, I'm going to start reviewing She-Hulk. Yep, She-Hulk. Because I really want to review Sensational She-Hulk because, well, they just brought back Sensational She-Hulk just recently. So, I'm going to start with Savage She-Hulk first. For the She-Hulk books. Yep, that's going to be start with that one first. Yep, but yeah, that's going to be pretty much a particular review. Stay tuned for tomorrow for the rest of my videos, okay? Next video. Bye.